Good afternoon. My name is EJ Mastaloni, and I'm here to talk to you guys about social media regulation. According to an article written by Maryville EDU, as of 2020, 72% of US adults are on social media. To make up these numbers, LinkedIn has over 675 million active users. Facebook has a massive 1.7 billion users. Reddit has over 300 million users, and Twitter has over 22% of US adults actively using their platform. Now, the use of these sites may vary, from uploading resumes, to sharing your social life, to receiving news or opinionated political content. But despite these changes, one thing remains the same: they are massive. Furthermore, Our World in Data published a chart showing the average monthly users of each social media platform through the years 2004 to 2018. As we can see, Facebook is at the top at over 2.1 billion monthly users. This is followed by YouTube at above 1.5 billion monthly users. Next, we see Instagram at 1 billion users. TikTok, an app founded in 2016, has just about 500 million users. Reddit has more than 350 million, and Twitter has more than 320 million monthly users. This next figure, published by Our World in Data, shows the average increase in the amount of time adults have spent on social media platforms through the years 2008 to 2018. Beginning in 2008, the average amount of time an adult spent online was about 2.7 hours per day. After the invention of the smartphone and mass expansion in social media, by 2013 that number had jumped to 4.9 hours per day. And by 2018, the number had reached a staggering 6.7 hours per day. Now, despite their mass user bases and activity, social media has continuously struggled to flip a profit. This is due to the fact that the most alluring aspects of social media are the facts that they are free. If they were to change this by, per se, adding a subscription fee, they would lose massive numbers of their user bases, which is clearly not in their best interest. So, what did they have to do? They had to adapt. How did they adapt? They adapted through personalizing one's online experience through data engineering. Advertisements have turned social media into a multi-billion-dollar industry, with social media companies using algorithms based on our search queries or the amount of time that we spend on a specific post to target our feeds to advertisers, in turn personalizing our online experience. Despite the upsides of personalization, such as helping users find products they like or groups they associate with, there's also a large downside. As algorithms continuously make users' feeds to their likings and reaffirming their existing beliefs, it can create addiction and echo chambers online. As many of these users increase their usage online, they begin to grow dependent on these platforms for their own personal happiness. Things such as buzz notifications, a like on a post, or the ease of scrolling through your social media platform are just few of the many ways that social media platforms are designed like a casino slot machine to hook and lure in users like you. Joe Davies, a writer at themindessential.net, wrote that according to estimates, over 210 million people worldwide are addicted to social media. Now, he claims that this is a design of the platform, saying that a constant stream of retweets, likes, and shares stimulates the reward center of your brain in similar ways that drugs such as cocaine do. And he states that some neuroscientists have compared social media usage to injecting dopamine directly into your blood system via a syringe. Now, this addiction has snowballed into political extremism, as users who are dependent on these sites begin to read stories with clickbait headlines. As the algorithms drive us further apart and continuously perpetuate these stories on our feed, our worldviews are never challenged, causing stories to turn from narrative to truths. Jonathan Haidt and Tobias Rose Stockwell wrote an article for The Atlantic on the psychological effects of this, saying that online political discussions, often among strangers, are experienced as angrier and less civil than those in real life. Networks of partisans co-create worldviews that can become more extreme. Disinformation campaigns flourish, and violent ideologies lure recruits. Along with this, they tell us that newsfeed's algorithmic ordering of content has flattened the hierarchy of credibility. Any post by any producer could stick to the top of the feed as long as it generated engagement. And through this, fake news would later flourish in the world, where content such as a blog post that was given the same look and feel as a story from the New York Times. The issue is clear to see. The design of these apps is causing Americans to receive politically incompatible information online from one another. And the question I'm going to ask you is, how can one be civil in a country where nearly all of the media that they consume is tailored to making them believe that their truth is the only truth, and anyone who believes otherwise is attempting to destroy America? We were given the answer to this question on January 6, 2021. After 5 years of pent-up aggression online through both the 2016 and 2020 presidential cycles, all of this rage came out. It was on this day that Donald Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building in an attempt to stage a coup, keeping him in power. Now, while Donald Trump is to blame, many of these people also use the modes of social media and public communication to spread these hateful, lie-filled rhetoric online, causing it to be more perpetuated, and again, as we've seen before, people's narratives turning into whole truths. Now, Barbara Breitbart published an article for Boston University on social media's role in January 6th, in which she tells us, in addition, in the case of the Capitol riots, the dialogue on social media, catalyzed by rhetoric used on both sides of the political divide, was emotional and arousing, which leads to increased sharing. In addition to this, because messages including false information tend to be more novel and provoke emotional responses, fake news is more likely to be shared. In other words, social media helped people find others with similar beliefs, as well as fueled emotional reactions that drove people to both share these messages, including false information, and participate in the riots, as you can see there, where the Trump supporters are currently holding a noose up in front of the Capitol building, calling for the hanging of Mike Pence. But it is not just here. Charlottesville, Buffalo, the Las Vegas shooting, these are many more examples of how the internet and social media and hateful rhetoric online can drive people to commit acts of violence, which must be curbed. Now, if we don't start to make change, then where this is going is going to get really bad. Due to filter bubbles and algorithms driving political polarization and radicalization, social media has caused immense harm to our society. Regulation must be imposed by the federal government to stop this. The federal government should propose a bill which grants the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, extended regulatory reach to social media companies. This bill will also create rules that the FCC will enforce on these companies pertaining to data engineering and misinformation / violence driven from these online platforms. Now, polarization and radicalization will be solved through a series of both bans and red flagging systems by the FCC. In terms of red flagging systems, users who have watched a certain amount of misinformation online will be monitored once they've hit that threshold. From there, the social media company will conduct a report on their online activity, and if they are viewed as a threat to public safety, they will be reported to the authorities. In terms of banning users who create the misinformation, the FCC will ban the users instead of the social media companies. Now, this will create continuity in who is banned and who is unbanned because, per se, someone like Elon Musk can now buy Twitter and reinstate accounts like Donald Trump and Alex Jones, who have preached a lot of harmful rhetoric on the internet. So, while some people may say that this is a violation of First Amendment rights, I'd like to respond to them by saying that I do not believe that the Founding Fathers ever would have seen misinformation at this mass scale. The FCC will tackle many of the issues surrounding structural problems of the code and design of these social media platforms through yearly audits. These audits will search for things such as addictive design, algorithms driving filter bubbles, and pushing content to the top based on popularity over credibility. Now, it will also check up on many of the red flag systems that are in place, and when these companies are found for it, they will be fined for millions of dollars, hurting them where it hurts the most, in their wallets. Now, this change may be difficult to make, but it is extremely paramount. This is the world we are going to live in, and it will be how we shape it. We are at a crucial fork in the road with information technologies, and our country must take a stand right now. This is maybe one of the most important battles of our lives, as it will lay the ground rules of the most important mode of communication that we all use together. We want to make this right. We want to make social media an enhancer of our democracy, not a destroyer of it. Thank you. Have a nice winter break, Dr. Dick.